I wanted to go back and just talk about some reading curriculum that we have used that, I don't want to say it's out of the box because you can purchase it from a company. Hi, welcome. My name is Rachel. I am a homeschool mom of 4 boys, and I have graduated too. We just finished up our 15th year. This school year, I will have an 11th grader and a 6th grader. But I wanted to go back and just talk about some reading curriculum that we have used that, I don't want to say it's out of the box because you can purchase it from a company, but I want to give you some other ideas that we have used just to help along the way. Now, I will give you just a little backdrop. My oldest actually did go to kindergarten to a Christian school, and he used Abeka there. So when I pulled him out, we used Abeka at home. And that is when I first had experience with, I didn't really have to teach him to read. He actually caught on really quickly at school. He did, of course, have to come home and read to me his little booklets. And so I had some idea of what to expect. But of course, they move into bigger books in first grade. My real experience started with my second one, who I would be teaching to read. But you think the first one started out, he was easy, right? Yeah, they're all different. And that is something we just have to accept and work with. So he was actually a late reader. But my third and fourth, I'm going to share some things that I used with them, and then I might step back and share some things that helped me with my second one, who was a late reader. Now, for all 3 of them, I used a curriculum called SWR, which is Spell to Write and Read, which actually teaches you to spell a word and then you start reading them. And I will show you this book. This is one of the first books they use because everything you're reading out of it is words that you have already learned to spell. And they have a list in the beginning, and then it actually has some little story things to read about. And they also suggest the McGuffey books for this, which I was not really familiar with, so we did not end up using those, but I have always been curious about them. I've seen them, but I feel like at this point, it's just too late for me to worry about it. Also, after we used this book and started learning the spelling words, and I did this with my other 3, once we started SWR, we actually used the Bible a lot. And if they could start reading, then I would get them their own Bible. And they actually all got excited about that. So I actually even have marks in my old Bible that I've had for years and didn't realize how old it was, of, circling the phonograms or marking syllables and helping them to see and read through God's word. So I feel like for me as a mom, that was one of the important things, is not only the desire to read, but the desire to have the Bible and to know that I can read what mom and dad read and what we take to church and learn more about God. So I do want to mention that because, like I said, I wanted them to know that was one of the important things for our family. Okay, so with my 3rd and 4th son, we started out the same. We used the SWR, Spell to Write and Read program. In 1st grade, we actually used the My Father's World curriculum, and we only used it for the phonics part because it correlated so well with this other curriculum I was using. So I was still using the phonetic cards from Spell to Write and Read, but then I was using the worksheets and the fun lessons. They had cutouts and little storybooks and all kinds of things with My Father's World. And then they used a little Bible reader to read. And that just went so well for both of them. Now, we always, because I have older brothers, we always did have other books around, like the level books that they'll learn. And actually, this list right here that I'm about to show you is what they used in 2nd grade. And this is actually from Heart of Dakota. Now, I've told you, if you watched any of my videos, that I did not use Heart of Dakota in the younger years. But I did use their reading program, which is in the 2nd grade, and they just used books. And that's what I was looking for. And that's what I loved about it. And they really just start out easy. And I'm thinking they use the Frog Toad ones. And then I know they use the Owl one, Sam the Minuteman, and then these two books. And the reason I ended up doing this is because when I looked, I was like, I have a lot of those books already. So my older boys would have went through some of these books. There's Laura, 3 Animal Adventure. So as throughout the year, they get harder. The Matchlock Gun. I'm just sort of showing you now, Burning Light. I'm pretty sure like some of these I'm guessing at. Now this one I know, but this would be similar to something else they would have had. See, it's just a little Scholastic chapter book. So by the time they're done with 2nd grade, they have progressed throughout the year. And I continued to use the phonogram cards that I had with them with their writing. They did and with writing, it was all copy work. We did not really have a writing program. It was either through a narration that they had told me that I would write for them and they would copy, or it would just be copy work right out of these books. And that's what we used for writing in the elementary years. Now my 3rd son, I can't remember if it was 3rd or 4th grade. I actually tried Sunlight's reading, just the reading program for that grade. And it went well because it was real books. And that's what I think my boys prefer, is just something that has the whole story and it's a real book. Now for my other 2, we just continued with books. I never did pull another reading program out for them. But they both were good readers. They still are readers. And as I have said in some other videos about high schoolers, I feel like that, at least for my 2 oldest, sort of faded a little bit because it was almost like they were taking everything they were learning and putting it into action. Wanting to do instead of just read. They wanted to do the things they were reading about. Now they both, especially my oldest, really does enjoy audiobooks, but he's very busy with work, really doesn't have a lot of time to sit down. So I'm sort of trying to give you an idea of what it looks like in the future if you did this type of reading, just letting them read and progress at their level, giving them things to look at. Now, when my oldest was progressing, he liked to go to the library. They have a kids section and they have books all about military and sports, and I don't have any of those in front of me because we just got them at the library. But it would be something similar to this Usborne Discovery book. This one's actually about trains, and he probably looked through this one too, but it always has pictures and then information. My boys read so much about military that if we ever watched like a documentary on something from history or watched a movie, they'd be like, oh yeah, I know all about this. And I would say, how do you know? They would say, I read about it. So after the Sunlight program with my 3rd one, it was pretty much just reading. Now he was not my reader, so that took a little effort to find some series that he would enjoy. We actually found the Adventures in Odyssey series, and he really liked that. He liked the Who Was books and the What Was books. They talk about the different areas or specific time periods of history. So, but he still is not my reader unless it's something he absolutely wants to know about or wants to study or wants to read about. Now he does what he needs to for school, but he does do better with audiobooks following along. So, but my youngest, same thing. He actually went through the same thing. Same thing in 1st grade with My Father's World. Same thing in The Heart of Dakota with their readers in 2nd grade. And after that, he just took off. I mean, he's like a whole nother story. So I don't think it matters what curriculum you use. I do feel like it's important to find something that they're interested in to read, take them to the library, give them some choices. I think it helps if you give them the choices and not just open the world of the library to them. That's just a little bit of my discernment and conviction there, because there's just so much in the library, even in the kids section, that you're like, whoa, that I don't even really want to read about. So, but give them some choices that you know they will be interested in. Sometimes I would just let them get what they wanted, but I would also pick up a handful of books, just set them on the coffee table, and sure enough, because we would have quiet time or because they wanted to watch something and I said no, they would be picking up the books and finding that quiet time. and looking through and learning about different things, whether it be geography or something with science. Maybe we were studying about birds, so I would pick up some extra books about that. And if they didn't look at them, that was fine. We would just take them back. I didn't enforce it. So, all right, I just wanted to give you an out-of-the-box idea option for reading. And I do just want to say, when I started out, I was not familiar with reading program, a lot of the reading programs. I knew about Abeka and BJU. I don't think I really knew a whole lot all about reading until I felt like it was too late. I probably could have looked into it for my fourth, but what I had used with my third was fine, so I just kept on doing that. And he really caught on he reads advanced. And I just think each child will be different in their advancement in that, no matter, even when you use the exact same things for them. So now, talking about my second, who was a struggling reader, I do want you to know that if you have one that does struggle to read, that I really encourage read alouds or audiobooks, because he did love books. He loved to hear the stories. He loved to gain the information. He just struggled with that connection right away. But by the time he was the end of third, going into fourth grade, he really started picking up reading. And I remember looking over one day, and this was the book he was reading. And yes, it's one of those it's actually a very old scholastic book. And I was just amazed. He had found something. I guess he had started it. And it's a chapter book, but the words are very easy. And even if you break down into syllables, they equal words that he would have already known. So he took off. Once he caught on and realized I can do this, started picking up more and more books, and he did really enjoy reading. All right, I hope this video was encouraging. I hope it was helpful and gave you a little insight. Now, if you are using a curriculum and it is working, I say stick with it. Like I said, I have boys. I feel like girls would be a little bit different on the books and choices they enjoy, just because I probably would have been totally different. But I did at least want to share this idea of how I did it, and maybe it would help somebody else that feels a little bit stuck in the reading program they're using. So, all right, I do hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you again soon.